John, that does tie into a little bit of the conversation we want to have today, because let's face it, and we know truckers especially, the roads are their office, the highways are their office. Finding a rest area for truckers, you would think it wouldn't be such a problem. It is a massive, massive issue across this country, Lewie.
Yeah, I mean, parking and restrooms, all that stuff is a major issue. Most people never give it a second thought because, you know, most of us, we're in a car, we travel across the United States, we can stop about anywhere. When you got something that's 70, 75 feet long, weighs 80,000 pounds, that becomes a little bit more of a task than just driving your Prius. But I mean, the one thing I will say, the state of Washington right now has some bills out there, which is they're addressing this. I applaud the state of Washington for taking the lead on this. They're doing something we've been trying to get our federal government to do forever, and set aside some money and some grants and stuff for parking. And also, I never thought I'd have to testify about using the bathroom, but they're making a bill that if you're a shipper or a receiver at a port facility and you have restrooms, you have to allow truckers to use them. And, you know, it seems to me that that would be common courtesy, common sense, humanity maybe comes into play here. But, you know, it's not forcing them to build them or anything, but if they have them to buy. But I mean, I've been in places delivered and they would not let you use the restroom.
It's disgusting. Just as disgusting a thing as you could possibly imagine. It really is heartbreaking. But yeah, I'm glad Washington took the lead on that. And it's also interesting because I know, you know, Washington, that West Coast corridor, Oregon, Washington, California, they're some of the most expensive and difficult states for truckers to operate in. But it's nice to see them sort of acknowledge maybe the error of their ways and try to make amends in some of these cases.
Yeah, I personally have never operated out there, so I can't speak personally. But yes, from the people I talk to, it's hard. It's a harder place to operate. A lot of NIMBY there. People don't want trucks in their backyard. You know, a lot of that. Yeah. I mean, to me, the hardest place to operate where I trucked was the Northeast. You know, New England, New York, New Jersey, those places. New Jersey probably was better than most, but when you get up into the New England states, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all those, they're not truck friendly states at all. There's not a lot of places to park. There's not a lot of places, truck stops. It's just everything's super, super expensive. It's just that's rough. I mean, I was lucky. I trucked a fair enough. I kind of learned my way around and found little places, and they're out there. It's just a matter if you can find them. But for a guy or a gal who's trucking in these areas and not familiar, it can become really difficult. And
Boston, Louis, especially Boston, right? And we were kidding earlier. I was listening to a song earlier this morning about trucking in Boston, and it brought back a lot of memories when I was with Aramark, and we probably had 30 routes, step vans making deliveries in downtown Boston or inside the loop there. And I can't tell you, I wish I knew Zach's dad, Arthur Miller, back then, because I was paying so much in fines and parking fines. In fact, on my P&L, I actually had a line for, parking fees. And I didn't call them fines, I call them parking fees, because I looked at a parking ticket as, hey, I was buying space to make a delivery, right? And it's just so difficult in the Northeast, aside from the weather, right? Yeah, and the other thing too, I'll share with you, and credit to Lewie for pushing me out there. Of course, TTT, we have a terrific partner in TA. They own Travel Centers of America. I visited about 70 TA, Travel Centers of America, and this is not a plug for TA, but it's just an awareness. You have to get out there to really appreciate what the problem is. You have to get out there and walk the concrete at these truck lots, to see how they are sold out, and then not just the parking spaces, but then the amenities that are provided to these over the road truck drivers. They deserve so much more than what we're giving that community. And we can do a whole episode, Zach, on that. But I've been following the Secretary of Transportation, Peter Buttigieg, really the last couple of weeks. And Lewie, am I wrong to think he gets it? Am I wrong to think that we finally have a secretary of the DOT that really understands what the problem is? And the second part of that, number one, does he understand it? Number two, do you think we're finally going to do something about it?
Well, I would like to say, I can't get inside of anyone's mind, but I would like to say from what he says, yeah, he gets it. I think as far as any secretary we've had, he's saying the right things. Now, whether that will turn into doing the right things, time will only tell. We like to hope. I give everybody a fair shake. Me personally, I don't look at people jadedly. I try to give everybody a chance and hopeful that he does. I'm hoping we just met with the new deputy administrator this week, who's taken over, Hutchinson from Minnesota. She seems anxious to help. Some folks that are on the inside of FMCSA, whose names I will not say, but they're insiders and have good connections, say that they feel that Buttigieg and his folks are really wanting to change things and make things better, and that, they finally do get it. And these are people inside FMCSA that I personally believe gets it. They understand the regulatory side, but they understand the trucking side as well. Right. And, that's what makes this all so difficult, because the regulators see their side, us truckers see our side, and somewhere the two of us got to get together and work together to make things right. And a lot of the things we need to do are very, very hard, are going to be very, very expensive to some people. And, and which is what I've continued to say here of late. Nobody wants to do the hard, expensive things. We want to try to do the easy fixes, and the easy fixes aren't going to get us where we need to be, So
I agree, but
I'm optimistic that things maybe we got somebody who's going to change something. But again, time will only tell.
You took the words out of my mouth, because it's optimism, and part of the reason I do have optimism, and certainly the fact that the state of Washington is kind of taking ownership of this to create a template for other states to follow is great. But my optimism comes in the fact that between the pandemic and resulting supply chain issues, between the fact that the issue of just driver pay and how they're treated has come to the forefront, and between the fact that as you say, there's a lot of institutional knowledge in FMCSA that knows they really blew this opportunity with the ELD mandate and not tying it with truck parking. I think all those factors combined make me optimistic that, we get it now. This is a crisis. This is a safety crisis, and we need to address it now, today.